The 10th of April. I'm looking at the Sun, the daily paper, Friday, April 11th, so I guess this is Sunday the 13th. And have a little hard time getting anything done, and you can see it might be me. I might be so confused I don't know what I'm doing. Don't even know what day of the month it is. Well, old cowboys do get a little confused sometimes. Thank you, NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I've been watching it this evening. Sunday evening, they're racing away up in Phoenix. And because of that company from Connecticut, my oldest brother's daughter and her husband, she married a man from the East. Of course, they were in the East. She married an Italian descendant. Ah, Dave Boscarino, what a gentleman you are, and how much we enjoyed having you in our home. And Mary, you are a sweetheart. No wonder he chose you to be his bride and the mother of those fine boys and that fine young lady. Wish they could have all come, but sure glad you came. Had a great time. This article has to do with renaming a peak near Phoenix, known for years as Squaw Mountain. Well, everybody that reads any Indian stories or any Westerns knows that I'm sure the Indians didn't call their women wives squaws, but some Anglo started that, and they're squaws. Yeah, you're squaws. Well, that's pretty offensive to have a mountain named Squaw Mountain. We got all this hoorah about sports names. You can't have certain names because it's offensive to different groups, including Indians. So they had a girl get killed over in Iraq. You know, as I've said before, I'm not too much for women being in combat, but by golly they are, and they do a job. And on Friday's paper here, it's announced that a federal panel on Thursday officially renamed a Phoenix Mountain for the first American Indian woman to be killed in combat. In doing so, the paper reports that they ended one of the most contentious fights over a name change that's ever occurred. You know, the old stick-in-the-muds like me that don't like change, a lot of them just didn't want to change because it's always been Squaw Mountain. Others, I must say, I suspicion for racist reasons, didn't want it named after an Indian woman. A lot of those male supremacists don't want a name for any woman. But enough people did care that they stuck right with it. This goes on to say that less than a month after Army Specialist Lori Piestewa was killed in Iraq in 2003, a state panel renamed Squaw Peak as Piestewa Peak in honor of that young lady, that young soldier. Not just a lady, a soldier. As an old soldier, I like to see soldiers honored. And the article goes on to say that Squaw Peak, now Piestewa Peak, is one of the more popular places for people to climb a mountain, get out and get into the fresh mountain air, hear the birds, see the trees, get a better view of the city. It's a popular place. Now, she's been dead now for over 5 years, and the vote couldn't occur until 5 years had passed because the board, the government, whoever set it up, had done that on purpose so that if, you know, let it kind of ride a little and let the emotions of the death and so on kind of settle down and see if there really is an interest in naming something after an individual. The secretary of that group that voted 11-2 is Lou Yost, and he said that a lot of people did keep responding that they had more emails on this than they'd had on just about anything, and that the letters and calls were heavy, and about 2-to-1 favored going ahead and naming the peak Piestewa Peak. And then he said, you know, the supporters felt that then they were honoring all soldiers, all the military, when they named that ex-Squaw Peak Piestewa Peak. But the critics said, she didn't have any association with the mountains, she's not well known, she's not a politically or newsworthy person of note. Isn't that a shame? That people feel you got to be a Britney Spears or something that gets your name smeared around for whatever good or bad reasons before you're worthy of having something named after you. Dying for your country's not enough. I'll take Miss Piestewa to be named, and the other hundreds of soldiers that have been killed over these movie stars and so on, 100 times to 1. Piestewa was 23 years old. A Hispanic, Hopi, I think is the way you say it. Mother of 2 from Tuba City. Lived on the Navajo reservation. She died after the convoy that she was in took a wrong turn, was ambushed near Nazareth. I'm sure I don't say that right. In March of 2003. Well, you know, some of the members of that party were killed, others were taken prisoner. And all Americans know about the young lady Lynch. Why, Jessica Lynch is a name that we all were so thrilled, and the government used such neat coverage of that rescue to try to get us to feel better about the invasion and about how we're doing over there, you know, at the time. Well, it turns out, you know, Miss Piestewa, Specialist Piestewa, was a close friend of Jessica Lynch. And that Lynch attends annual ceremonies at the peak, and she also named her own daughter now for her fallen friend. 3 cheers for you, Jessica. It was a good thing. And for you guys and gals that don't think it was, I'll tell you one thing. Your grandchildren will only know it as Piestewa Peak, and maybe a little footnote once in a while will appear in an article saying it used to be named Squaw Peak, and there was a little fuss about it when it was changed. But I'll bet they don't change it again. I'll bet it'll be Piestewa Peak, honoring an American hero who gave her life for you and for me and for our country.